Hello, stream. How's everyone doing? Where's my overlay? Where are we? Where are we? There we are. Uh, hello. Oh, I forgot to change the thumbnail in the background. Hang on, give me one sec. We've got a little bit less people today as well. Hi there, Vex. Also, hello, Chilled. Hello, Jay Dudley as well. And hello, Charlotte. I saw you there too. Let me change the thumbnail to the correct one. There we go. Okay, hello everyone. How we doing? How we doing? I'm so excited for today. I was kind of rushing to get the script done, but oh my god, reading through it, it's gonna be a good one. We've got uh a new face and also some familiar faces for those who were here last stream. Mm, it's gonna be fun today. It's gonna be fun. So um I'm splitting up the chapters. Just a heads up, I'm splitting up the chapters slightly differently for this stream compared to last stream for those who were there. We'll be doing 2, 2, and 2 rather than 3 and 3, just because I want to give our narrators a little bit more of a break since they're reading so much, especially for this. Ooh. Um. Okay. Cool. Oh, oh! I accidentally activated my blush. Let me toggle that off. But I don't think chat has seen that. So yeah, there's a little toggle for this model for you. Sorry, I'm just trying to stall and I'm really fucking bad at it. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? Today's gonna be fun. We've got angry Mau Mau and I think more pouty Jinchi. Good? Yeah. I'm glad. Um mm. So for those who don't know, for these streams, they work a little differently to my usual streams. I won't be interacting with chat during the chapters, just because we'll all be voice acting and we'll all be locked in. I will also be muting sound alerts. However, they do still happen on screen. They will just be muted. Just so just so they don't interrupt the live. But oh, that reminds me, I also need to turn off my actual sound alerts. Because they will interrupt the stream. What you holding a gun to my face for, huh? What you holding a gun to me? Do we get more Gaussian? We get a little bit more Gaussian, not too much. A very small amount of Gaussian this week, but he is there. Very small amount. However, we get a dual comment on the screen. Yeah. So, we have the Emperor showing up a little bit today. So that'll be fun. And what else? Oh, that's right. We've also got Liqua. Liqua shows up. Where's my overlays? Alerts. Let me no, don't create new ones. Turn off these ones. No one redeemed those. If anyone redeems those, I'll give you your points back. But that's if it happens. But other than that, I'm just chilling here. Yay! Okay. I can see all of our VAs are back, so I'm gonna undeafen and introduce everyone. Hello, I'm back. We are live. How is everyone? Oh my god, I feel you. Whoa, that's our Jinshi for you. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll get started with introductions. We'll start at the top of the call and make our way down. So we'll start with Ash and we'll end with TLD. When you're ready, take us away, Ash.
Or Captain Ash on YouTube, and I voice Guen and Random Munch.
Chi.
I'm Chi, and I'm voicing Jinchi.
No way.
The hot guy.
The hot guy. That's him. I'm changing his name in the script from Jinchi to hot guy.
Hell yeah.
Guy, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Guy That Can Talk, and I will be voicing the Emperor and Gaoshun. I think I said that right.
Mm-hmm. And
I will also be narrating.
oh no,
Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, you will be narrating. That's right. Hello everyone. I am Carmen. I run the place. I'll also be Mao today again. Sam, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm going to be voicing Yinghua and Attendant 1 and Hanyan.
Woo!
Yay! Hello all, I am Tealdi. I will be voicing Lihua, Gyokyo, and doing a bunch of narration. Oh, and Attendant number 2.
Yay! Biggest role right there. Attendant number 2.
Yep.
Don't you worry.
Look, attendant
The
two
greatest
is
time of my life.
This in the scene, there's supposed to be like 5 of them, but I don't think we have that many voice actors.
Everyone speaks out at once.
And giving us all one line is a little much.
Nah, it's a power move. You should do it.
All right, everyone. So today we're going to be reading chapter 45. We'll all be taking turns. We'll have one line each, and we'll round table.
It's better than the idea of just one word at the end of every stream for.
God. Oh, with that being said,
Could be worse.
it could be worse. Are we ready to go?
Yes.
Woo! All right, so LD, when you're ready, take us away.
Okey-dokey. Chapter 13, Intimidation. There was the crash of something falling. The potato and grain porridge, tea, and grated fruit went everywhere.
Did you think to serve Li Hua some of this kind of peasant food? Remake it all.
The corners of the palace lady's eyes were raised in anger. She was one of the attendants who was a part of consort Li Hua's retinue, a young woman with a face of gaudy makeup.
What a pain.
Mao cleaned up the fallen food and picked up the plates while heaving a sigh. She was at the Crystal Palace, consort Li Hua's residence. She was surrounded by a great number of glares. There were looks of ridicule, scorn, and bare animosity. As an attendant who served consort Gyokyo, this place was just like enemy territory. She was standing on a bed of nails. It was when the Emperor showed up at consort Gyokyo's place last night. Mao had tasted for poison, as usual, and was planning to leave the room.
I have a request for the herbalist from the rumors.
She was called for the first time.
What is this rumor you're speaking of?
The Emperor's age was somewhere around his mid-30s, a great man growing a beautiful beard. As the one who holds the highest authority in the country, it wasn't unreasonable that he could dazzle the eyes of palace ladies. But unfortunately, this was Mao Mao. She just thought,
I want to try touching his long beard.
What shall it be?
she respectfully lowered her head. She wanted to leave the room before he picked up on her unskilled response for someone in the position of a maidservant.
Consort Li Hua's condition is bad. Can you look at her for me for a while?
So he had said. The Emperor's words were heaven's word. Mao Mao, who wanted her head and body to remain close with each other, had no choice but to reply with, "By your will." Look after her had the same meaning as cure her. Be that as it may that his favor for her was gone, it could either be that his affection for her remained to some extent, or it could also be that he couldn't disregard the daughter of an influential person. If Mao Mao didn't cure her, her head would roll. Their lives were linked. As he was entrusting this to a young girl, it was, at best, due to the reason that the inner palace court physician was usually unreliable, or that there was no issue with her dying. Either way, it was an irresponsible request.
At any rate, it's not something you talk about in front of another consort.
The Emperor, who had requested that upon her, had been leisurely enjoying supper with Consort Gyokyo. Mama was convinced that he was really what she had expected an emperor to be. The first thing she should do when she saw Consort Lihua was to improve her eating habits. At present, within the inner palace, due to Jinshi's orders, the use of the poisonous face powder was banned. If merchants were found to sell it, they would be severely punished. If that was the case, then getting rid of the poison that was left in her body would be the first priority. Although the meal was served with congee, it was an extravagant affair of fried fish with thickened broth, stewed pork, and red and white steamed bun with shark fin and crab. It was nutritious, but overly dense for a sick person with a weak stomach. She ordered the cook to remake it while trying not to drool herself. With the imperial command, Mao Mao, who gave off the air of a humble maidservant, was able to maintain authority. The meal consisted of porridge high in fiber, tea with a diuretic effect, and easily digestible fruit. Regrettably, it had been thrown on the floor some time ago. Rather than the imperial command and such, the maids must not be pleased with the ugly maidservant who served Consort Gyokyo. Mao Mao had a lot of things she wanted to say, but she firmly put up with it and cleaned up. An attendant brought in another luxurious and opulent meal and carried it over to Consort Lihua, but a short time later she returned with most of it uneaten. The leftovers probably became the reward for the lowly maidservants. Mao Mao wanted to perform palpation, but the attendants surrounded the canopied bed, so she nursed her in a way that completely failed to be respectful. When they slapped on face powder where the consort was sleeping, Mao Mao only coughed once. "Because there's a peasant here. The air is bad," and was driven out of the room. The chances of the consort getting cured were low.
She will certainly waste away if this keeps up.
It could either be that her body couldn't eject the over-accumulated poison in time, or that she will not have enough vitality. If you take away food, a person will die. They lose the energy to survive. Mao Mao leaned against the wall in front of the room. Until the day her head separates from her body, she will count the days with her fingers. As she thought that, she heard a lovely voice in her vicinity. She had an extremely unpleasant sensation, and looking up with an extremely serious face, she saw an extremely lovely face, smiling extremely cheerfully.
You looked troubled by something.
Do I look like that?
You do look like that.
Jinshi was staring intently at her, so her gaze gradually strayed. His long eyelashes neared as he attempted to follow her. If their eyes met, she would look at him as though she was touching garbage, a conditioned reflex. "What's with that girl?" She heard malicious whispering. It was the maidservant who dismissed the meals. Mamo really felt like running away. The atmosphere around her became terrible. A sweet, honey voice spoke close to her ears.
Let's enter for the time being.
Before she nodded, they shut themselves into the room. When she entered, the followers in the room glared at her even more grimly than before. But when they gazed at the one with the appearance of a celestial maiden next to her, those looks subsided into light smiles. Women were really scary.
Disregarding the person the Emperor arranged is not becoming of beautiful, talented women.
Mamo bit her lip at Jinshi's words and softly retreated from the front of the bed.
Now, go.
With a push from her back, Mamo pitched forward. Taking a bow, she stood in front of the bed and took hold of the pale hand with light veins. She also had experience in things to do with being a doctor, not just medicine. Consort Lihua's eyes were closed. She did not resist. Mamo didn't know if she was asleep or awake. It seems half her soul had already moved on to the next world. To look under her eyelids, Mamo placed her fingers on the consort's face. Her fingers slipped from the smoothness of it. Her skin was pure white, not different from before.
Same skin color as before.
Mamo's face stiffened. She turned towards the maids. She stood before one of them and asked in a low, stifling voice. It was the girl who had been patting on the powder some time ago.
The one who applied the makeup on the consort, was it you?
Yes, that's right. It is the duty worthy of an attendant, after all.
As Mamo stared into her, the attendant answered while panicking in some way. She was bluffing with all her might.
I want Lihua-sama to always be beautiful.
As if to say she was right.
Is that so?
There was a loud slap. The attendant collapsed, her strength leaving her, at a loss as to what had just happened. Her cheeks and ears would have to be strangely hot. "What are you doing?" Amidst the dumbfounded group, one person flared up on Mao Mao.
I'm just disciplining a fool.
Mao Mao spoke disdainfully, grabbing the collapsed attendant by the hair, then dragged her along. She stopped at the front of the dressing table, emptied her hands, and reached for the engraved container. She uncapped it and showered the attendant with its contents. The attendant coughed violently. Her eyes teared up.
Isn't that great? With this, you'll be pretty like the consort.
She pulled the attendant up by her hair and leered like a beast that hunted its game.
The poisonous essence will pass through your whole body, from the pores, the mouth, the nose. You will acquire hands like withered branches, sunken eye sockets, skin that has lost its complexion, just like the Lihua-sama you adore.
No way!
Why? Didn't you know it was forbidden? They even told you it was poison!
But it's the most beautiful. We thought Lihua-sama would be happy.
Who would be happy with a poison that killed their child?
Like she was speaking to a child, Mamo clicked her tongue and released the maid's hair. Several strands of long hair remained on her fingers.
Hurry up. Go rinse your mouth. Go wash your face too.
After she saw off the palace lady who scrambled out of the room in haste, she then looked at the other frightened attendants.
Hey, you're going to touch a sick person, right? Hurry and clean up.
Turning a blind eye to the fact that it was Mao Mao herself who had ransacked it, she pointed to the powder-covered floor. The attendants trembled in fright and came back with cleaning equipment. She crossed her arms and let out a huff.
Women are really scary.
Both hands in his sleeves, Jinchi muttered to himself. She had forgotten about his existence. Mamo suddenly felt her blood rushing from her head and crouched down at that spot. Chapter 14. Nursing. Consort Lihua's condition was worse than she thought. Although the cereal porridge was remade into a thin rice gruel, the consort made no indication of slurping from a spoon. Mamo had to prise her mouth open and slowly pour it in to make her swallow. She couldn't take in food. That was the biggest issue. She had to be patiently and insistently fed. When Mao went to ventilate the room, the clogging fragrance subsided and was replaced with the smell of a sick person. They probably burned incense to hide the scent of body odor. It didn't seem like that the consort had bathed for a couple of days. Mao's resentment for the useless maids grew. The discipline seemed to have gotten through to the attendants she chastised. The stock of the face powder had been snuck in. Pitifully, the one who got whipped was the eunuch who had failed to collect the face powder. Punishment was also influenced by birth. Although Mao glared at the supervising eunuch with contempt as if to call him incompetent thing, she felt that it wouldn't accomplish anything. She had a pail and a cloth prepared, and together with the attendants she called over, wiped the consort down. The attendants had looked at her in disapproval, but became docile when Mao glared at them. The consort's skin was dry. Her lips were painfully cracked from the lack of hydration. Mao coated her lips with honey instead of rouge and tied her hair up simply. Afterwards, Mao made the consort drink tea at every opportunity. Sometimes she gave her watered-down broth instead of tea. The number of times the consort urinated increased. Though Mao thought the consort would show hostility, being the questionable newcomer, the doll-like consort Lihua generally obediently listened to her. It might be that her blank eyes didn't recognize who was who. Mao increased the amount of the thin rice gruel from half a bowl to 1 bowl all at once, and little by little, increased the amount of rice used to make it, so that the consort could start to swallow on her own without needing to be held up by the chin. Mao increased the servings of soup rich with the flavor of meat and grated fruit. Consort Lihua's lips suddenly moved when she could go to relieve herself without help. Why can't let... To pick up the words that Consort Lihua leaked out, Mao stood next to her. Why can't you let me die like this? She said in a soft, fading whisper. Mao raised her eyebrows.
Then I'll take away your meals. That you're eating the porridge means you don't want to die, right?
She said, and held the warm tea against Consort Lihua's mouth. There was an audible swallow. Is that so? She let out a weak laugh. The responses the attendants gave towards Mao could be split into 2 groups. The ones afraid of her, and the ones who opposed her while being afraid of her.
Did I overdo it?
It can't be helped, she thought. She had a bad habit of overreacting whenever her emotions passed her boiling point. Although unsociable, Mao was generally easygoing. She was plainly hurt by the being looked at from a distance like she was a demon or an ogre. In this case, it couldn't be helped as she needed to nurse Consort Lihua. She didn't know whether it was the Emperor or Consort Gyokyo's command. The sparkling Jinchi Dono frequently appeared for her. With his authority to use anything that could be used, he had a bathroom constructed at top speed for her at the Crystal Palace. In addition to the bathroom that was there originally, they made a sauna. You don't need... You don't have a need to come, so go away already, Mamao told him in her roundabout way. But Jinshi, whom Mamao treated like a monster, came smiling at every opportunity. He was a eunuch with too much free time. She wanted him to learn from observing Gaoshun, who came over each time with a box of snacks for her. He could become a good husband with that sort of diligence. But he was a eunuch. The consort took in fiber and hydration to sweat and promote bowel movement. While thinking just about eliminating the poison from her body, 2 months passed until consort Lihua was able to go out for a walk by herself. From the start, her weakness from the nervous breakdown had been serious. It would be a non-issue if she didn't take in more poison. It will take time for her to recover her voluptuous body from before, but the color had returned to her cheeks, and she was no longer hovering at the brink of death. The night before she returned to the Jade Palace, Mamao went to consort Lihua's place to greet her. Mamao had expected to be slandered as a peasant if the consort was conscious, but it wasn't the case. And there was conceit, but not arrogance. The thing about the crown prince had made Mamao imagine her an unpleasant young lady, but in truth, she had the appropriate personality of an empress.
Well then, I will be excused tomorrow morning.
Mamao planned to leave the room after explaining to her about her medical diet from here on after, and various other important points, when, "Hey, can I no longer give birth?" The consort spoke in a flat voice.
I don't know. You won't know unless you try.
Even though I lost the Emperor's favor. What consort Lihua was trying to say was understandable enough. From the start, her being blessed with the crown prince was because she slept with the Emperor to obstruct the favored consort Gyokyo. The births of the imperial princess and the crown prince being 3 months apart were eloquent testimony.
I was commanded to come here by the Emperor. After I go back, it doesn't mean that the Emperor would also come to Li Hua-sama's place.
That was not a question, even if it was political or emotional. The way it was done was the same. Can I win against her as a woman who didn't listen to consort Gyokyo's words and negligently killed her own child?
I think whether you win or not isn't an issue. Also, mistakes are something you learn from.
Mamao took hold of a single flower vase that decorated the wall. It was adorned with a blooming star-shaped flower, a bellflower.
The world has 100, 1,000 flowers. If you must pick between the peony and the iris, I think the most beautiful one is the one you're fixated on, is it not?
I don't have the barbarian princess's jade eyes and pale hair.
If you have other things, then there's no issue.
Mamao said, and her gaze wandered down from consort Lihua's face. Normally, it was said that was the part where you lost weight from first, but she had 2 proper-sized melons on her chest.
Aside from just the size of them, the bounciness and the shape of them are something to be proud of.
Mamao, who gained a discerning eye from the brothel, was certain. It was a secret that she was fascinated by them every time she made the consort bathe. As one who served consort Gyokyo, although there wasn't a way for her to support consort Lihua, she decided to give her one last gift.
Can you lend me your ears for a bit?
Mumbling so that no one around them could hear, she taught consort Lihua a certain thing. It was a secret art that was no loss to learn of the older sisters of the red light district. Among the attendants, it became a topic of discussion for some time about what consort Lihua, whose face had turned as red as an apple, had heard. Afterwards, at the Jade Palace, the Emperor's visits decreased to a record low.
I've been released from my lack of sleep.
At those words, laced with cynicism at what Consort Gyokyo had said, Mao Mao's wandering eyes were yet another story.
Chapter 15. Flame.
They really are growing here.
She made a joyful look, holding the laundry basket in one hand. There was red pine growing in the pine forest near the east gate. The inner palace was generally vigilant in the control of the garden. Also, the pine forest dropped its dead branches and leaves once a year, which created the ideal conditions for the growth of a certain mushroom. What she was holding on to was the rare mushroom with the spreading conical cap, the matsutake. While there were people that disliked the scent, it was Mao Mao's favorite food. She greatly enjoyed cutting it up into 4, grilling on a mesh, and eating it with salt and a squeeze of citrus. It was a small forest, but as they are often found growing in groups, her basket contained 5 matsutake mushrooms.
Shall I eat them at the uncle's place, or shall I eat them in the kitchen?
If she were to eat at the Jade Palace, she might be asked where she sourced the ingredients. Things like harvesting things from the forest might just be something a palace lady shouldn't do. And so she headed for the soft-hearted court physician who was a good person, but useless at her job. If he liked the mushroom, then it was all good, and even if he hated it, he would overlook it for her. Along the way, she also didn't forget to stop by Xiaolan's place. She was a precious source of information for Mao Mao, who didn't have many friends. Mao Mao, who had lost weight from nursing Consort Lihua, was made fat again by her senior attendants when she returned. Because she was at the rival consort's place for 2 months, she was both happy and troubled about it. Her basket would be unmanageably full from the mooncakes and biscuits she received from every tea party. Xiaolin's eyes always shone no matter how much sweet stuff she ate, and she would always talk to Mao Mao during her short breaks. As usual, there were a lot of stories that sound like questionable ghost stories, but
A court lady from the Imperial Court used a love potion to ensnare the stubborn, woman-hating military officer.
somehow she broke out in a cold sweat when she heard the fresh gossip.
Yeah, that probably has nothing to do with me. Probably.
Come to think of it, she had a feeling that she heard nothing at all about who was using it. The Imperial Court, that was outside of here. It was the section with actual men, a place with a high ratio of star occupants. By the way, here was the section without actual men, a lonely workplace. At the medical office, besides the louch mustache man, was an unfamiliar pale-faced eunuch. He kept rubbing his hands for some reason.
Oh, hey, lass. Just as I wanted to see you.
What is it?
It looks like his hands have developed a rash. Can you make a salve for me?
In no way could those be the words of the one who controls the medicine of the inner palace. Well, as it was the usual, she went to the room with the medicine shelves next door. Before that, she set down the basket and took out the matsutake.
You have charcoal and stuff?
Oh, you brought some splendid things. It would be good if we have sauce and salt.
It was early to talk about his favorite foods. With a merry bounce in his steps, he went to the dining hall to pick up some seasoning for her, pathetically leaving behind his patient.
I'll give him one if he doesn't hate it.
She thought about the poor eunuch as she stiffly mixed the ingredients. When the quack doctor came back with seasoning, charcoal, and a grill mesh, she was just finished with making the viscous salve. Taking hold of the eunuch's right hand, she carefully smeared the salve onto his red rash. She had to endure the smell as it was something strong. Color seemed to have returned to his pale face for a bit when she finished applying the medicine.
Oh, what? Oh, what a kind maidservant. I know, right? She oft helps me.
The two eunuchs conversed without a care. Eunuchs, according to the times, were treated as bad people who were filled with the lust for power, but in truth, those were only a small handful. Most of them had calm personalities like this.
There are exceptions.
She made an unpleasant face and promptly erased it. She set the charcoal on fire, placed the mesh, and added the matsutake she picked by hand. She cut the sudachi citrus that she willfully stolen from the orchard again. She served it on a plate once the peculiar fragrance reached her nose and they were a little charred. She then enjoyed it seasoned with salt and sudachi. The moment the two old men placed it in their mouths, she determined them as accomplices. As Mau Mau chewed, the quack doctor was chatting in a carefree manner.
The lass is helpful because she can do anything. She has made lots of medicine aside from the salves for me. Oh, how wonderful.
She was somewhat troubled by the fact that he was treating her as if she was his own daughter. Suddenly, she was reminded of her dad, whom she hadn't seen for more than half a year. She was a tiny bit unsettled by the strong feelings. The quack doctor really said the improper things that a quack doctor would say.
Ah, there aren't medicines you can't make, right?
Huh?
Before she told him to stop with the false advertising, the eunuch before her reacted.
Anything? Anything.
The quack doctor huffed in pride. Ah, it's the way the quack doctor did things.
Then, can you make a medicine that can break curses?
The man said while rubbing his inflamed right hand. Color had returned to his pale face some time ago. It was something from the evening of yesterday. His work finished with rubbish disposal as usual. Rubbish from all over the inner palace was collected in a cart and incinerated on the west side. It was originally forbidden to light a fire after sundown, but since there was no wind and the air was humid, it was approved with no issues. The low-ranking officials threw the rubbish into the hole. He devoted himself to his work like the others did, so he could quickly finish his job. Suddenly, something in the cart caught his eye. A woman's clothes. Although it wasn't silk, it was of fine quality. It would be a waste to throw it out. He held it up, thinking, what's the deal with this? It was then he saw that there were loose wooden slips bundled up inside. There was a large scorch mark on the cuff of the clothing that wrapped it. Just what was this all about? His work would not finish even if he clutched his head in doubt. The wooden slips were picked out one by one and thrown into the fire hole.
And, in doing so, the flames flew up and changed into a weird color.
Ah.
The old man's shoulders trembled, looking terrified from the memory of it.
Were the colors red, green, and purple?
That's right.
Mau Mau nodded in understanding. Did the rumor she heard from Zhao Lin today come from here?
It's already spread to here even though it's a story from the west side?
It was true that the palace lady's rumors travel faster than Idaten.
It's the curse of the consort who died in a fire a long time ago. I knew it was wrong to light a fire at night. That's why it turned out like this.
It seemed that the rash on the eunuch's hand was from after seeing that flame.
Hey, Earl, make me some medicine that will break the curse.
That sort of medicine doesn't exist.
After declaring that coldly, she got up from her seat and went to rummage through the medicine shelves next door. Giving a backward glance at the flustered quack doctor and the old man, She put something on the table. There were several powders, and then pieces of wooden slips.
That flame, was it this color?
She added the wooden slips onto the charcoal, and after confirming that they were lit, she scooped up some white powder with a medicine spoon and added it to the fire. The orange fire turned red.
If not that, then this?
After she added a different powder, it turned green.
I can even do this.
When she added a pinch of salt that was on the matsutake, it turned yellow.
Lass, what in the world is that?
The quack doctor asked in astonishment.
It's the same as colored fireworks, just that the color changes according to what is burnt.
There were firework makers among the guests of the Roku Shokan, a secret technique that stays on the premises, even changes into talk inside the sleeping quarters. They also didn't know that there were children waking up from their sleep next door.
Then what is with my hand? Is it not due to the curse?
Mau Mau presented him with the white powder.
A rash can break out if you touch this with your bare hands. If it wasn't for that, don't they paint lacquer onto the wooden slips? Either way, your skin would be sensitive to these, right?
Is that what it is?
He sagged as if he lost his bones. His face was a mix of surprise and relief. It must have been on the wooden slips. Burning that will birth colorful flames. That was all it was.
Why is it again just that kind of thing?
Mau Mau's thoughts were interrupted. She heard clapping.
Well done.
There was a detestable guest standing there unnoticed. He was smiling with that unchanging heavenly smile of his. Chapter 16, Secret Maneuvers. Never seen it spelled out before. Jinshi led Mau Mau to the chief palace official's room. The middle-aged court lady withdrew from the room at Jinshi's directions. Let's say it honestly, it was completely impossible for her to be alone in the same room as this creature. Even Mau Mau didn't hate pretty things. It was just that she couldn't forgive that he was much too pretty. She felt that tiny flaw was like a sin. It was just like a polished gem with its value halved due to a hairline fracture. That was why whenever she interacted with him, she would end up looking at him like a ground-crawling insect. There was nothing she could do about it.
I want to appreciate him like a piece of art.
This was the lower middle-class citizen Mau Mau's true opinion. She was relieved when Gao Shun came in to replace the palace lady. Recently, the stoic attendant was in the process of becoming the healing type. How many colors are there for these? She lined up the powder she had taken from the medical office.
There's red, yellow, blue, purple, and green. If you make a fine distinction, there are more. I don't know the specific number.
Then, what can we do about those colors in the wooden slips? It was impossible to strike it alight when it was in the form of powder. That would be weird, whatever the circumstances.
If it's salt, you can just add water. I think this too can be done the same way.
She put away the white powder.
The other ones look just like they can be removed with something other than water. This too is outside my expertise, so I don't know.
It's good enough.
The youth crossed his arms, deep in thought. Just this would paint a picture. She knew that Jinshi had seized various things from the inner palace. The things Mau Mau had said just now have become the basis for something. It seems the scattered pieces of information were getting pieced together in his head.
A cipher? I wonder.
The answer she reached would likely be the same as him. However, Mau Mau repeatedly acknowledged that it should not be said. there is safety in silence. As she would not be needed beyond this, she was going to leave.
Wait.
She was called to a halt.
What do you require?
I like doping Mushi.
There was no need to say, "Of what?"
I just knew I've been caught.
Dropping her shoulders.
I'll go look for some tomorrow as well.
When he affirmed that the door had closed with a click, Jinchi dropped his sweet, honey smile. Instead, his gaze became crystal sharp.
Look for people who bear recent burns on their arms. For the time being, investigate those with rooms and upwards, and their attendants as well.
By your will.
After Gao Shun withdrew, the chief palace official entered.
Thank you very much for always lending me your place.
There's no problem.
She blushed in spite of her age. Jinchi was smiling again, his expression like heavenly nectar. Nevertheless, he should be like this to women. For only just a moment did his lips purse, and when he left the room, his smile was back in place.
Okay, try wearing this.
Yinghua, her attendant senior, held out brand new clothes to Mao Mao. The colors were unbleached white for the tunic, pale red for the skirt, and sleeves were a pale yellow and reached out larger than usual. Though it wasn't silk, it was made from high-quality cotton.
What is this?
Though the colors were appropriately plain for a maidservant, it wasn't a design for practical use. Furthermore, they were clothes that opened widely at the breast area. Mao Mao, having never worn such clothes, made a blatantly reluctant expression.
What you say? It's the outfit for the garden party.
The garden party?
Mao Mao, who was completely spoiled by her attendant senior's kindness, besides tasting for poison and making medicine every day, had run about outside harvesting medical plants, chatted with Zhao Lin, and had tea at the medical office. Therefore, she had heard little about the topic of the elite. Yinghua, with a look of amazement, informed Mao Mao, who tilted her head, about the opening of high society at the Imperial Court Garden twice a year. The Emperor, who doesn't have an empress, will bring along primary first-class consorts. The palace ladies who serve those consorts will also be accompanied. In the inner palace, Consort Gyokyo was crowned as the noble consort, and Consort Lihua, the wise consort. Aside from those two, including the virtuous consort and the pure consort, they make the four madams. They make up the primary first rank. Originally, only the virtuous consort and the pure consort were supposed to attend the winter garden party. However, as Consort Gyokyo and Consort Lihua were absent last time due to having just given birth, it had made all of them make sure they will attend this time.
All of them will attend, you say?
Indeed, we'd better be mindful.
That was the reason for young Yinghua's pride. Even at the best of times, on the top of the rare chance to go outside the inner palace, it was a loaded event with Imperial Princess Linglui's debut and the high-ranking consorts appearing all together. For the sake of Consort Gyokyo, who had few maids, Mao Mao had no way of turning it down, for reasons of being unaccustomed to it. She knew that a food taster would be highly regarded, especially for that sort of public location.
There might be bloodshed.
Mao Mao's intuition hit the mark. She hit upon the troubling matter.
It would be better if we padded the breast area a little. Would it be okay if we also enlarged the butt area?
I'll leave it to you.
Yinghua, after fastening the sash with a tight squeeze, adjusting the length of her skirt and her sleeves, again moved in with a finishing blow.
You should properly put on makeup, too. You should occasionally put in some effort into hiding your freckles.
It goes without saying she returned a stiff smile to Yinghua, who was grinning widely.
Chapter 17. Garden Party Preparations. Mao Mao was disheartened from hearing the course of the events of the garden party from Honyon. The woman attended last year's spring garden party.
Even though I was relieved there wouldn't be one this year.
Honyon said with an affected sigh. There was nothing they could do there. It was fine to just stand there. In the end, all a consort had to do from a guest's perspective was to accompany the emperor. Their attendants would do the same. It was good to just view programs like military exercises, dance performances, poetry recitals, and ehru performances. Eat served meals and turn around smiling at officials who greet them at appropriate times. In the outdoors, with the freezing, dry winds. The garden was, well, pointlessly large, as if it was proportionate to the emperor's power. It will require a quarter dual hour if you want to go out to wash your hands for a bit. If the emperor, the guest of honor, decided to remain in his seat, the consorts would have no choice but to follow suit.
You'll need bladders of steel.
Instead of going to the garden party that was at the beginning of spring, she wondered what winter would be like. Therefore, Mao Mao got underwear with many pockets so she could fit heated stones in them. Also, she made candy from boiling fruit juice, sugar, and finely shaved ginger and mandarin peel. When she showed Honyon the underwear and the candy, the woman requested her with teary eyes to make everyone a share. While she was in the middle of making them, the leisurely eunuch came by and told her to make some for him, too. His retainer looked like he wanted to say something, so she reluctantly made another one for him as well. Moreover, it seems Consort Gyokyo had told the emperor during his nightly visit, and the next day, the emperor's personal seamstress and the one in charge of his meals came by to learn how to make it. Indeed, it was quite a penance. Thanks to that, it wasn't until the garden party when she finished her side job. As it was last night when she was finally freed up from work, she decided to make medicine from the medicinal herbs she had on hand.
You look beautiful, Gyokyo-sama.
What Yinghua and them said wasn't flattery.
As expected, only the one called the favored consort could pull this off.
The consort, who emanated a foreign air, was wearing a red skirt and a light crimson outfit. The large sleeves she wore on top were the same red with golden embroidery. Her hair was tied up into two large rings, with two flower kanzashi hairpins and a crown placed right on the center. The flower kanzashi was a long silver hairpin with a decorative red silk tassel and jade gem dangling at the end of it. The reason these clothes have never been worn despite the showy design was because of Consort Gyokyo. The consort, with her fiery red hair, was said to be the person who was most suited for red. Also, her glittering jade-colored eyes within her redness also harbored a mysterious air about her. Mao Mao and others wore red outfits to signify that they followed her. They wore matching sets and tied up their hair. Consort Gyokyo took the trouble of bringing along a jewelry box from her own dresser. There was a necklace and earrings set with jade and a kanzashi inside. It's because you are my attendants, so you are free from strange bugs. I will have you wear these to let people know that you belong to me. After saying that, she respectively decorated their hair, ears, and neck. Mao Mao was given the jade necklace to wear.
Thank you very much.
Before she could finish saying her thanks, her arms were pinned behind her back. Yinghua firmly twisted her arms.
Well then, it's time for makeup.
Hanyan was grinning with a brush in hand. The other two attendants were each holding onto a clam with rouge inside and a drawing brush, respectively. It was here when she forgot to put up a storm about getting her face made up by your seniors. Make her cute! Consort Gyokyo laughed, her voice pleasant like a bell. It turns out there was another accomplice here. Mao Mao, who couldn't conceal her trembling, was under the mercy of the 4 attendants.
First, we should wipe her face and paint on the perfumed oil.
They roughly wiped Mao Mao's face with a damp cloth.
Huh?
The maids collectively made a sound of surprise as they compared her face to the damp cloth.
I've been exposed.
She will say one thing here. The reason that Mao Mao hated makeup wasn't because she hated makeup. It wasn't that she was bad at it. Rather, between a strength and a weakness, it was more along the lines of it being her strength. If that was the case, then it could be assuredly said that her face was already made up. There were light brown stains on the damp cloth. The face that everyone thought was clear of makeup was actually a face after makeup. Chapter 18. Makeup. As there was still a short time before the garden party began, Consort Gyokyo and her attendants went to pass the time at the gazebo in the garden. Rainbow carp splashed in the lake, and the few remaining autumn leaves dyed in red scattered through the air. All this is thanks to you. Though there was enough sunlight, the winds were cold and harsh. Normally, they would be shivering in the cold, but because of the underwear with the pocket warmers, no one suffered to that extent. Even Imperial Princess Lingli, whom everyone had been worried about, was curled up into a ball inside the basket. There were heated stones just like what they had been using in the basket with her.
As you can get low temperature burns when you remove the Imperial Princess's heated stones occasionally, please wrap it with a cloth when you replace it. Also, please take a note of any stinging in the mouth if you eat too much of the candy.
Mama put the replacement heated stone inside the handbasket. The Imperial Princess's diapers and change of clothes were also inside. The brazier to warm the heated stones had already been requested and brought in by a eunuch. I understand. With that said... The consort leaked out an impish giggle. The other attendants were also smiling wryly. You are my attendant, after all. She pointed at the jade necklace.
That is certainly true.
Mamo decided to capture the moment of those words. Gaoshan gazed at his master, who was inquiring about the virtuous consort's mood. Jinshi, who possessed the nectar of the heavens and a celestial maiden's smile, was more bewitching than the virtuous consort, who was admired as a beauty despite her young age. The consort was clad in luxurious and gorgeous clothing, and her hair was adorned with a silver kanzashi, and yet she was overshadowed before his ordinary plain official robes with some embroidery. Having come this far, he was a disagreeable existence. Seeing how he overshadowed the consort herself was entranced, her eyes glazed, it didn't seem to be an issue. What a sinful human. After making rounds to the 3 consorts, they headed towards Consort Gyokyo next. They found her at the gazebo on the opposite side of the lake. Though Jinshi had equal contact with the 4 madams, lately, Consort Gyokyo had strong backing. Well, being the Emperor's favorite consort, it wasn't viewed to be a great problem, but it was clear that there were other reasons for it too. He bowed to the consort, praised her well-fitting red outfit. Certainly, it was beautiful and suited her. The barbarian princess's mysteriousness and her natural fascinating elegance saturated the air about her as well. It was likely that, regarding the brilliance inside the inner palace, the only person who could be favorably compared to Jinshi was Consort Gyokyo. While that may be true, it wasn't that the court ladies around him were not beautiful. It was just that each one of them paled in comparison to his personal charm. The amazing part of Jinchi was that he could say that definitely. Everyone has parts of themselves they want others to admire. That was aptly reached. Jinchi does not lie. It's just that he doesn't speak the truth. He feigns serenity, but the left corner of his lips was slightly quirked. As his retainer, who had served him for many years, he understood. It was an expression a child would make in front of a toy. How troubling. While pretending to look at the imperial princess's face, he approached the short attendant. But, standing there expressionlessly, looking down somewhat while making an excessively disrespectful face, was an unfamiliar attendant.
Pleasant day to you, Jinchi-sama.
Mama was careful to not let her "here again, you leisurely scoundrel" expression come out. As Gaoshen was watching, she wanted to be gentle for as much as she could.
Are you wearing makeup?
No, I'm not.
She wasn't wearing any makeup aside from the lips and of her eyes. There were still some light spots around her nose, but it wasn't noticeable.
Your freckles are erased.
Indeed, because I erased them.
What remained was the tattoo she gave herself by stabbing herself with a needle a long time ago. She didn't stab deeply, so the pale dye should disappear within a year. Although, since the act was the same as a criminal's punishment, even if it does disappear, her dad had indicated his disapproval.
You erased it with makeup, didn't you?
I erased it when I removed the makeup. I should have just said, yeah, sure, at the right time.
Mamau belatedly noticed that she made a mistake in her reply.
What you said is strange. There's a contradiction.
No, there is no such thing.
Makeup wasn't just used to beautify. There were also cases where middle-aged women specifically used makeup to make themselves look unattractive. The product made of dried clay and mixed with dye, Mama applied it around her nose every day. She skillfully obscured the tattooed freckles by turning them into spots. What she did was by no means intentional, that no one noticed it. A woman with freckles and spots, with a face that didn't particularly stand out. That was why she was called an ugly woman. To put it another way, if she didn't have the freckles and spots, her face would just be said as uncharacteristic. In other words, an average, plain face. With even a little bit of rouge, she can change the atmosphere. The ordinary-looking Mao Mao can look completely different. Jinchi clutched his head at Mama's explanation, as if he somehow couldn't understand her.
Why would you do that kind of makeup? Is there any meaning to it?
Yes, is so I won't be taken into the back alleys.
The Pleasure District, being what it was, had those who hungered for women. Most of those guys don't have money, were violent, and mental illnesses were common among them. Of course, she would want to excuse herself from that. The flabbergasted Jinchi, for some reason, timidly asked her,
Have you ever been taken?
They tried.
So he could understand what she said. She glared at him with narrowed eyes.
Instead, I've been kidnapped by human traffickers.
It was better for women sold to the inner palace to be attractive. That time, she forgot her makeup when she went out to harvest the medicinal herbs. It had been for the dyes of her fading tattoo.
I'm sorry. The management wasn't thorough.
It's fine. There isn't much distinction between selling someone as kidnappers and selling someone to reduce the number of mouths to feed. It's all the same.
The former was criminal. The latter was legal. Even a kidnapper couldn't be punished if the person they bought didn't know that distinction. Right now, the reason for her using the sort of makeup in the inner palace was the same as her hiding her ability to write, although it now no longer mattered. Her sudden makeupless face was only just a matter of not knowing the timing.
I'm sorry.
He's unusually meek.
As he was looking up, he quickly stuck something on her head.
Hurts!
Does it? Have this.
He wasn't smiling his usual saccharine smile. His face was also mixed with embarrassment and distress. When she felt her head, she felt something cold and metallic in her hair, even though she wasn't wearing anything.
Well then, I'll see you at the assembly party.
Jinshi turned his back and left the gazebo just like that. Stuck in her hair was a man's silver kanzashi.
Ah, how nice.
Mama thought to give it to Yinghua, who looked like she really wanted it. But the other two had the same expressions, so she had no choice but to draw in her hands. Honyan made a wry smile. Oh, you broke the promise so quickly. Consort Gyokyo looked peeved. She took the kanzashi from Mama's hand and neatly fastened it in her tied-up hair. It looks like you're not just my attendant now. For good or evil, Mama was especially estranged from the talk of the upper echelon of the imperial court. She didn't know what significance it represented. And that's the end. Woo!
Woo! We made it.
Oh, we did it. Yay!
Yay.
All right.
I love these chapters.
Peak.
I think this is the part of the story that really got me was sort of like the garden party. So I can't wait for us to
I
do
think
that next week.
At this point, you can tell the author has an idea of like what the mysteries are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys did amazing. Thank you so much for coming. I hope splitting up the chapters in twos made it a little easier on the narrators this week.
Yeah, that worked out nice.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll probably keep that going forward, whether we end up getting a third narrator. Maybe I'll cover a couple, stuff like that. But I think with that being said, I think we'll end for now.
Yay.
Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.